Hello, everyone. I am in Ottawa, where Starved Rock is located, for the Memorial Day weekend, and I just wanted to provide a little update. I recently have been meeting with a social worker who counsels, and she had me take a little questionnaire she had me take like an anxiety screening and a depression screening questionnaire, and don't have anxiety, but she said I'm moderately to severely depressed. And it's like kind of a shocker, but kind of not. I mean, I know I'm not. What I do know that I'm doing is when I come home from work, like I could go out and, go exercise or go for a walk or whatever. And a lot of times I'll just come home and sleep because I'm tired. And it's a very confusing time because I don't know if I'm tired because of menopause. I don't know my body. I don't know what I'm supposed to be feeling or how this is supposed to go. I do know your energy can go down. I don't know if I'm tired because I'm on the PARP inhibitor and it makes me anemic. I don't know if I'm tired because I'm just truly depressed. It's a lot of factors. I don't know if I'm tired because I'm depressed because of body image issues. Ever since my doctor made a comment about my weight, I've been having some thoughts go on in my head, and I used to have an issue with food in the past. Probably in my early 20s, I would just basically go like a couple days without even eating, and I was an athlete, and that's not okay. But that was a state of mentality that I was in back then. I'm not doing that, that's for sure. If anything, I'm doing the opposite, where I'm using food as comfort, or I have been. I don't think I've done it since I realized I was using food for comfort. I've stopped doing that because I just don't like, I remember what that was like when meals and things would control me, and I don't want to participate in that. So maybe that's why I do eat instead of not eat. I couldn't tell you. I'll have to do a lot more therapy to figure it out. But I recently had a patient that I went to go and put stickers on their chest for an EKG because I do stress testing. And before I did so, the patient thought it was important to let me know that she had had a double mastectomy, and so there would not be breasts there. And I told her, I'm like, we see all sorts of things in the hospital, so it doesn't really surprise us when things like that happen. But thank you for telling me, if that's what made her feel more comfortable. And through that process, sometimes on occasion I will let people into my story. I don't usually like to do that because my care is not about me, it's about them. But sometimes I think it makes them feel at ease knowing that I understand where they're coming from. So I decided to share some of my situation with her, and we both ended up talking about how we were so optimistic during treatment, and then it's the after treatment that we're not really prepared for, where there's just like this lost feeling. Someone else said, you're kind of at a standstill. You don't really know what to do with your life now that you're healed, quote unquote, because it could always come back. And that's for anybody with any kind of cancer. So it just kind of leaves you in this limbo. And before cancer, I had a plan. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what steps I was going to take. I was going to tackle X, Y, and Z, and this is how it was going to go, and etc. But when you get something like a life-altering diagnosis thrown in your way, where you don't know what the future holds, and not that we ever did, but you don't really realize that you don't know what the future holds until you go through something like this, where it just makes every decision almost feel fleeting, like what's the point? Also makes you think, do I really want to spend my time this way? Is this really what I want to do, or is this just the trajectory I was going on? Throws a lot of questions up in the air, and it's very confusing, in addition to all of the healing that you're doing physically and mentally, emotionally. It's just part of the package, and I identify with having cancer more now than I ever have, and I have no evidence of disease. You know, there's a lot of things that just don't make sense. And to hear that I was severely or moderately to severely depressed based on this questionnaire was kind of, like I said, shocking, but also kind of like, well, it makes sense, because sometimes it is hard to just, like, I can go to work and I can function. I guess I would be like a functioning depressed person, but I know I'm far from being well. I'm not well. When I am well, I can tackle any challenge. I can do so optimistically. I look forward to it. And what is happening is I am complaining, and I don't want to. And just all of these things that just don't make sense to me in the way that I trained my mind. And the way that I trained my mind is incredibly helpful, but it also is like a double-edged sword where, is this really important? I don't know. Makes you confused about where your future is going to go, makes you confused about, is what I'm doing right now the right thing for me? It's a very confusing time, and your identity is even more around cancer than it ever has been, and it doesn't make sense. The future doesn't make sense. The present, like, barely makes sense. Like, this is what I'm doing right now, but I don't know, I've had a lot of people in my life recently that either succumbed to the cancer or have had a recurrence of it. And it's just like, what the heck, you know? Like, we do not have a grip on cancer in the medical field. There are certain cancers that are pretty much curable. Like, if I had caught my cancer at stage 1, I'd be like 90% likely to be fine. But that's not the case. I caught it late stage 3B. Stage 4 is the highest stage, and after stage 4, to my understanding, you're basically just living with it. It will reoccur eventually. And you hope that the treatment can help you. And these intrusive thoughts, in addition to, we all will succumb someday to death. That is the reality. If you're alive, you will die. That's the reality. But when you're put in this position of, like, your life has already been threatened, it's just more real and more in your face than it ever was before. And it's difficult to put in words. It's difficult to my amazing support group that will ask, how can we support you? I have no idea. I can't tell you that. If I knew, I probably would have asked for it already. You know, so I'm gonna go and seek, you know, with my counselor and try to figure out some of these things. One thing she did tell me to do was to walk every day at least 10 minutes. And for the most part, I am doing that. As I've shared in the past, the CrossFit workouts are not as uplifting as they used to be, because I find myself not able to perform as I think I should. And this isn't based on what I used to be, it's based on the progression of today. Why is this still so difficult? Why can't I feel like I'm gaining momentum on my ability to control my breath? Why am I so gassed? Why can't I take less breaks? Like, why haven't I progressed on burpees? Like, why am I still like falling down the floor and dragging myself up? Why is that still happening after all this time? And part of it, I think, is the medication that I'm on, but part of it is like, again, is it menopause? What is it? What factor is causing this issue? And the simple answer is just to accept where you are. And I've been trying that, and I've been trying it. It's okay. Accept where you are. You are able to do more than you used to be able to do, and that is a fact. I am stronger. I can endure a little bit better, but it also just seems like I'm stuck and I'm not progressing on certain types of movements or combinations of movements. And it just felt better for me to step back and do something a little bit more simple and not high intensity. I read this a lot about menopause. A lot of menopause educators out there are saying do not put yourself in that situation because it is counterproductive for menopause and your hormones, but it's also what you like to do, so I don't know. When I do the bodybuilding type of workouts where I just focus on singular muscle groups at a time, and it is a elongated duration of time, and it goes a little bit slower, you still work hard, your heart rate still goes up and everything, but you get all these rests in between. I feel better that way. I feel more accomplished. I feel uplifted. And then when I go to CrossFit, I feel like a piece of trash. And I'm not comparing myself to other people next to me. I'm purely just like, why is my body stuck? And all of these thoughts that I'm having that are negative and probably part of depression are counter to what I have learned and trained myself to do, such as no complaining, finding the beauty in what you're doing, finding the challenge and growing from it, and there's pain and resistance and etc. And all of that crap is not working. I wish it was, but it's not. Which leads me to, what the heck do I do? How do I stop it? How do I grow? What am I supposed to be doing? It's a very confusing time. I don't like putting out negative content. I don't like putting out depressed kind of content, but I also think that being real about the situation of what I'm experiencing will help somebody to not feel alone if they are a young ovarian cancer survivor. And that's why I put this out there. I also put it out there for people that are curious how I'm doing. This is the reality. I don't like to share negative content. There are some people that complain all the time and share their woe is me all the time. And, even my husband is like, I think you're doing fine because you seem like you're doing fine. And that's the problem, is that I'm really good at moving on. I'm really good at moving forward, even if it doesn't feel good. I can do it. I can move on. I can move forward. I don't take it out on other people. I still live in the moment, even when I feel like crap. And I feel like crap a lot. There are plenty of days I do not want to get out of bed at all. And that is sad, because if you don't know how much time you have on the earth, get out there and freaking live. Why would you want to feel this way? And I can tell you, I don't want to. but it is happening. I am doing everything I possibly can to not feel this way, and it is still happening, which is why I think it's great to go and talk to somebody about it that might have more experience with trauma than I do, particularly medical trauma. If it's relationship trauma, I'm good. Don't worry so much about relationships. I am in new territory with medical trauma. I do not understand it. All I know is that when my patients behave in a certain way or act in a certain way, I get it. I can't tell them how to fix it. That's for sure. I do know that I've done hard things, and I've done hard things before, and I've gotten out of it. I can get out of this too, and I will. I just don't know how to do it right now. And part of that is also part of the depression, because I've been so good at navigating how I feel and how to change my mind and how to flip things. And I'm particularly not good at doing it with this, like this after moment where you're kind of at a standstill, where you don't know what to do with your life. What does life even mean anymore? Do you really want to spend your time that way? You know, I can get dialed in on my nutrition and my fitness just like I always was. And it didn't stop anything from happening. I do know that it'll put me in a good position to be healthy and fight if should anything happen again. But it's also hard to get there again. It's really difficult to get there again, and that's why I'm hiring people to help me, because I don't have the answers. Like I said before, if you're trying and it's not working, then you need a new approach. And my approach is to seek counsel from professionals and to get back into my scripture. I never got out of it, but I can feel a difference in my heart. My heart is not basically in anything anymore. I mean, when I'm with a patient one-on-one, I'm with them. But other than that, my heart really isn't in much of anything anymore. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Sometimes it's good to just sit still and just be and just let life happen. And then there's a time to make moves and to make change and to grow. And I feel like I'm just in this kind of standstill place right now. And that patient that I was telling you about that had the double mastectomy, she's the same way. I've talked to friends that have told me other survivors have felt the same way after treatment. It's like, well, now what? Yeah, I get that. Now what? You go and you live your life. You have a full life. You go and you live it. But now it's like you just don't know what you want anymore. Because why? Why? You know, my husband can't even tell that I'm having a bad day because I'm so good at moving on. I'm so good at separating my feelings from the reality. The reality is I'm fine. You know, I'm technically healthy. I'm overweight. Some of my labs have changed, and I'm not particularly happy about that. And I am working to get those health markers back on track. But how hard am I going to work? Don't know. I'm going to find out. Not giving up. That's not happening. It's just a crappy time. And if I figure it out, I'll let you know. But if you're out there and you're feeling like now what? I can tell you it's kind of typical. It's typical. Like, I don't want to say it's normal because nobody likes to feel that way, but you're not alone. There's a lot of us that feel that way. There's a lot of us that don't know what we're doing and why. We're just out here living day to day, trying to survive and make the best of each day, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not maximizing my days, that's for sure. I'm just trying to make the best out of them. And I usually feel like crap. I don't know. As I learn and grow, I will share it. I am hopeful. I'm not defeated. Just confused. Just very confused. Don't recognize myself. Don't recognize the inaction that I'm taking. I think a lot about going back to school lately. I think a lot about the next steps, what I want to do in my life and in my career. I think a lot about it. But I don't have any clear direction, and I've never been that way before. I always knew what I wanted to do. I was always very certain. And I'm not certain anymore. It's a very confusing place to be for someone that has always had a direction and an idea, and like I said, it's like, what for? Why? What are you trying to do? I'm trying to live my life. I'm trying to serve others. I'm trying to mostly just serve others. And how am I, like through God, like God gives me gifts. Like, how am I supposed to share them to the best of my ability? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And I used to know, and I don't know anymore. I'm not sure. And if you're in that place, you're not alone. That's all I really want to say is you're not alone. Things are unpredictable. You make the best of each day, and you're not alone. Take care.